Hey guys, this is V-Man from No Budget Productions, and with me today is one of the people that I respect the most in not only fan films but life in general. One of my best friends, Michael King. Michael, how are we doing today?
What's up, everybody? I'm doing great. How about you?
I am one of forgive us for being late. I was having too much of a good conversation with Michael. It's one of those things we don't get to talk often, but when we do, I fucking love it, man. I love talking to you, man. I'm doing
Yeah,
great.
I feel the
Doing
same,
great.
just like talking to a brother, man.
It is. It is. It's
Yeah.
it's you brought me into fan films, and I feel an extreme loyalty and love to you, man.
And
Um,
now you won't stop.
it's like just keep going, man. It's an eye of the tiger mentality, man.
But it's
So
great.
with
It's great. I admire your work.
oh, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a two-way street, man. Like I do you. Every time I see something that you put out or pictures that you got up, man, it's. I mean, you've done Animals, which I think is one of the best films that's out there. Talking about the psychology of what people go through. Starfleet, but post-traumatic stress in general. I mean, it's a great film. You've got and I'm terrible with names. What's the one with the doctor? The doctor.
Crosses to bear.
Yes.
Mhm.
That one, nobody really ever deals with the issues that you deal with. And I think that you and I think on the same type of levels, the storytelling type, where most people they want to tell stories. Oh, this is my version of Kirk, and this is my version of Spock, and look at my, and you and I, we don't think in terms of like that. We're like, no, fuck that. No, no, no. Here's this story. This, you know, um, especially when you have a talented actor like David Cox,
Mhm.
because that dude knocked it out of the park. Him and
Oh yeah.
uh, you know, because again, without spoiling it for anyone, please go watch Animals, Crosses to Bear. Um, those two films I think are great. They delve with stories that most people they never touch upon. Um, what is for those that don't know, what got you into fan filmmaking?
Well, I saw a few fan films before I started making them, and I've always been inspired by those films and always wanted to make my own film. I think the turning point was when I saw um, uh, Exeter, and it was the Tresarian. What was it called? The Tresarian.
Incident, not Sean
Uh,
incident or
I haven't
intersect?
seen it. Something
Some
like that, but it
Yeah.
it had Josh and uh, I'm just blank now, man. It must be too early. uh, what was his name? Joshua and I'm just blank. I'm blank.
Johnson,
Totally
Johnson,
blank. Yeah, Josh
Josh Johnson.
Johnson. Yeah, and his brother. They did this film with a lot of the people, and I was just inspired by it. And then I got to even say that um, James Cawley's series gave me inspiration. And then there's so many other ones though I can't even mention them all. But I saw those, and I just wanted to do my own story. And luckily, Oklahoma City Starbase Studios had the facility. They only had a bridge, but I was able to write a story, and we were able to do it in Oklahoma City, and we put it together. And as they say, the rest is history.
Yeah. Well, that's one thing that you going to your first film, um, Legacy. Uh, you tell a story of a captain who you take your time. Most of them, it's hey, hey John, we need you to do this because you're the greatest captain since Captain Kirk. And you didn't go that route. You took a story of a guy who he's reluctant to take command, and he doesn't even wear the command uniform in that one. He's in the science the whole time. Um, and he's reluctant. He doesn't want to, and it's a story that it's relatable. When someone, like in a 9 to 5 job is like, hey, we just lost our manager, we need someone to step up. Fuck it, we're gonna take you. Can you do it? I don't really want to. All right, I'll do it, I guess. Like we all kind of feel that, sometimes when something's thrust upon us, to kind of step up and do it. Not necessarily for us, but for the people that we feel a loyalty to, you know. Um, it's a great story of stepping up for the
You know,
greater
we
good.
we had the uniform, and the final scene in that episode, we were supposed to see Bishop in the captain's uniform, but Brady had suggested that, he's really hesitant to put the uniform on,
Mhm.
uh, really hesitant to sit in the chair. So we decided that we'll leave him out of the uniform because it kind of shows that I'm not ready to go there yet.
Mhm.
So we never did it, but I think it works better that he never wore the uniform.
Well, you and I've talked before about how there's a lot of symbolism about how you never actually sat in the chair, and I love the fact that you never put on that uniform. Like again, I think the symbolism again, I think it works to the story, you know, because then the next time we see your character, which was in Ties That Bind, you're in Command Gold, and it's like boom, it pops, you know, because it's like again, when we finally see the Valiant crew pop up in that film and Bishops in Gold, you're like, yeah, you know, the heroes have arrived, you know. um but I think for that story as it stands on its own, as its own thing, you being in blue, you know, it really does work to that story. I think that's very cool. But yeah, I think I really think as a storyteller, I think each one of your films, um, it's you are an awesome storyteller because again, going across to
Thank you.
bear, um, you know, you're you know, you and Brady, I think are probably. I mean, if you guys were in wrestling, you guys would be like, you know, one of the you guys would be like tag team champions. You know, like you guys are knocking it out of the park every time you do.
You're too
Um,
kind.
you guys are because I've seen you guys work, and you guys are always on the same page. You know, on what you guys bring to the table. You know, story wise, you know, editing stuff. Um, but I mean, Animals was great. Everyone who's seen it, I mean, it's like you guys are well respected. And
I just watched Animals with a group of people not about a week ago, and the sad thing about that story is that it's just so resonant in what's happening in the world today, and
yeah,
it's almost kind of heartbreaking. I don't know, man. It's just a crazy time we live in.
yeah. Well, that's. I think I was watching. It's sad because I was watching the newest episode of Picard season two, um, and listening to Guinan talk about, you know, Earth. You know, nowadays it's like it was very reminiscent of a lot of the issues that like 1960s Star Trek was talking about. You know, and I think that's when Star Trek really does work best is when they talk about like a lot of the issues, not necessarily when it's in your face, but when it's like when you're watching it, and you're like, man, it's this hits upon this issue, this hits upon this issue, this hits upon this issue, and it makes you look inward, but at the same point, it gives you hope. But I mean, it doesn't answer all the questions, but it makes you want to go search for those answers. You know, um,
It's disheartening. I mean, you know, you have all this racism and prejudice and all this, and I just see it as there's a simple way to fix all this stuff. All we have to do is choose not to hate. How
yeah,
hard is that?
yeah,
But that episode that you were referencing in Picard, I saw that episode, and Guinan was really she's disillusioned. She doesn't
yeah,
have any belief or hope that mankind's ever going to change. But it kind of hit to home because
yeah,
it's really, you could tell that they were talking about today.
yeah,
And you have that hope in Picard that says things will get better.
yeah.
It might take some time, but things will get better. And I guess, I go on that belief that maybe one day we'll all come together and realize small shit like somebody's color or where they live or things like that won't make a difference. We just need to learn how to love each other regardless.
Yeah, and that's honestly like, I mean, you and I both know, you know, there's been nothing but fucking drama in the fan film behind the scenes, you know. But the one thing that I love and respect about you is you've always stayed out of it, you know, and your heart has always been that, you know, the love, you know, show the love, set the example. Um, you are the, you know, not kissing your ass. but you are the embodiment of Starfleet. You are the embodiment of Star Trek. And in the same regard, you know, knowing Guinan as a character, like she is kind of that same way. And to see the character looking at Earth with those tears and kind of like, man, fuck, you know, it kind of does paint that picture of like, oh man, like we have we have to change things. And then to hear Picard say, you know, it may take time. It does kind of give you that, okay, we got to pull our bootstraps up. We can do this. You know, we've got to do this, you know, and it really does. It gives you that sense of both the hopelessness and the hope at the same time, you know, which is what I think good Star Trek is about. It shows you both sides of the coin and says, look, it's not too late to change. Yes, shit's fucked up, but you can change, you
And that's
know.
one of the things I've missed from Star Trek is
Yes.
that hopeful side, you know, just to hear a few words from Picard to say that things will get better. And I
Yeah.
think that's what made Star Trek stand out. I mean, you think about the original show and you think about all the things that were happening at that time. And then you think, here comes this show that's saying that people will get along, people will help each other, people will care about each other. There's no poverty, there's no war. You know, we don't care about color. And this was the 60s. So, you know, this show is just, it's incredible for what
Yeah.
it was saying back in those times when everything was going to hell.
Yeah.
So, you know, I think that a lot of the current Star Trek has forgot about that hopefulness. So it was really kind of nice to hear Picard say, you know, to everybody out here listening, things are going to get better. I think we
Yeah.
need to hear people say things are going to get better. And I don't think we hear that enough in current TV.
Well, I was not a fan of last season of Picard. I mean, of course, there were things that I saw that were good in it, like, you know, I liked the uniforms. There were certain elements that I enjoyed, but as a whole, I didn't like last season of Picard. And I think Star Trek is, you know, you have to be able to look at something and say, I enjoyed this, I didn't enjoy this. You know, I think fan films are the same way. You can look at something and say, this was good, this was not so good. I mean, hell, I look at Voyager and I do the same thing. I'm like, I enjoyed this aspect, I didn't enjoy this aspect. I think all of Star Trek is that way. I'm not one of those haters though that are like, oh, all of it's bad. There are certain elements I like, there are certain elements I don't. But this, I have to say, this season of Picard, um, I think this season as a whole, it's just been knocking it out of the park in terms of the positivity that it's brought back to the Star Trek universe in general, but especially just the messaging has been on point of, hey, this is the Star Trek future you like, then this is the dark mirror to that future, and then this is the spiritual message that we all have inside of us. It's just, to me, it's like, man, this is getting back to Star Trek roots. And then knowing Strange New Worlds is coming up, with Captain Pike, that I loved from Discovery. I'm very excited for Star Trek in general, but I think the messaging has been on point, which is something I think we desperately need. Because with social media and everything, it's so divisive. If you don't agree with me, you're naturally the enemy, and I hate you, and we can't
Yeah.
talk, and we're not friends, and that it can't be that way. And you know, I I I love the fact that you have always stood for, can't we can't we talk? Can't we be at
Yeah.
peace?
I try, man. I mean, it's just to me, if you're not going to have Star Trek with optimism and hopefulness, what's the point of having Star Trek? You can watch any other sci-fi show. I mean, you know, that's what made Star Trek different. And if you don't have that exploration of the human condition, to me, there's just no point.
Yeah. No, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. And that's like I said, like without kissing your ass. That's one of the reasons why I adore you, so much, because your storytelling is always on point. You always think outside the box. You're telling stories that are, it reminds me of like Twilight Zone, where you think it's going this way, but then zoom, it goes this way, and it's always a story that is relatable. The characters are relatable. They feel like people, but it's always an important message, which is more important than just, oh, it's people in space. Anybody can do a person in space. That's not what the story's about. You know.
And
Um,
it's the same thing with you, Vance. You know, you've done some really hard hitting subjects in your films, and I honestly, I feel like your films, the stories are better than a lot of other fan films out here.
Well, I some people might not agree with that, but
Well, I
I
mean, we all have our problems. There's not more Valiant episodes because it's just a matter of funding. We just don't
right,
have the funding. So
right.
budget, you know, budget, we have to deal with that. But your stories, the characters, the what the stories are about really shine through. I mean, there's been some of your stories. I don't think I've ever told you, but there's been some that hit so close to home that they make me teary eyed. I mean, you've made some really excellent stories, and I'm just sometimes I'll watch one of your films and I'm just thinking, how come I never thought of that? I mean,
Well, it's all,
you have a really good mind when it comes to stories.
well, it's all been just an extension of what you started, man. I mean, if my whole thing from the start was, I wanted to tell Menard stories. So by the time we got to doing, the Valiant stuff, if they saw me on the bridge, we didn't have to get to anything Menard. They'd already know me. Kind of like O'Brien from uh Star Trek. If we didn't have any O'Brien stories the first season of DS9, we didn't need them because we already knew him from Next Gen. Um, but the more we started doing Menard stuff, I wanted to expand and then expand and then expand, but it's all just an extension from the Valiant stuff because if you hadn't have given me the permission to do Menard stuff, I wouldn't be able to do any of the things, but your
I wonder
generosity.
what would have happened if I just said, no, I don't want to use that character. No, you can't use that character. What would you have done? How would your films have changed? I wonder.
Oh, I wouldn't have done any films.
You
I
don't think
just
so?
no, because I mean the thing is, like, I have such respect for you as a filmmaker and as a storyteller. I wouldn't have done them. I mean, I'd probably bought uniforms and taken pictures. Probably I probably would have ended up being like one of those cosplayers. Just hey, here's a picture of this, here's a picture of that. Because I enjoy taking pictures. Um, obviously anyone that follows me on social media knows I love taking pictures. But no, I wouldn't have. I might have done, like the cosplaying people. Because there's some talented cosplayers. Sally Seagraves, one of the most talented ones out there. Um, Tommy Tommy B. Oh, I forget his name. But I mean, he also cosplays as Mike. I want to say Shroot, but I'm again, man, I'm so terrible with someone's gonna
Yeah.
come up here and be like, "You son of a bitch, that's not my name." Um, but there's so many. He plays a Cardassian in my films. Um, he cosplays. He does his own makeup. Um, hell, Krorath, he cosplays. There's so many talented cosplayers. I probably just would have joined that community instead of this one and just joined that rank. But so if you would have said no, I don't want you tainting my product, I would have respected that. you know
Never occurred to me to say no. Never. I thought, yeah, go ahead, man. I don't care.
well, well, I mean, at the time, you got to realize you were the only one, and again, this shows how much respect I have for you. You were the only one that gave me a chance, because at the time there were other productions, Starbase, and every time I asked, hey, would I'll help you out, every one of them shot me down, every one of
Yeah,
them.
I don't understand that. Just
Yeah,
disappointing.
every one of them. I mean, because I was a fat guy in a Star Trek outfit. I didn't fit the mold, and that's one reason why every time someone comes to me and is like, "Hey, can I be in your film?" Well, even if I don't have room, I'm like, you know what? I'll write something for you. What can you do? Do you have a uniform? No. Okay, we'll put you as a distress signal. Do you have a green screen? No. Okay. You got a blank wall? No. Okay. Well, I mean, I'll fit it. Because it's like if you come to me, because I've been that person. That's where I was. Now people see me as a a great filmmaker. I'm not. I'm just a guy with a fucking cell phone.
You're
Um,
the guy with the cord in the door.
that's exactly. That's the guy with the cord in the door. Um, but it all stems back to it's an extension of your generosity. You were generous to me. I have to extend that to other people. You were
You
kind to
know,
me. I have to.
it's it's like I never even thought about those things when I asked you to be in the film. It's like I didn't look at none of that. I just saw your face and thought he looks the part. That was it. I didn't care about. I mean, my way of thinking was we're not making a actual Star Trek production here. It's a fan film, so what difference does it make?
Yeah, you I loved how you approach it. You're like, hey, you want to be in my film? I'm like, oh, porn? All right. Like, what who are you? What is it? Like, no, dude, I tell you, man, that conversation, man, it changed my life, man. Like I really would not be where I'm at if it wasn't for you. Like I love yeah. Which brings us to today. We again, man, Michael, we really have to catch up.
Yeah, yeah,
You
we
know,
could go on forever.
but that brings us to today. So I will
Hey,
hear.
I got one thing.
Sure.
I saw your latest film, and this was kind of funny because they were talking about Menard, and one of the characters said Minard, and then the other one was like, "Don't you mean Menard or something?" And I thought that was kind of cool because I'm the one that messed up your name.
Yeah, it's like that. Sean Reimer, he he's the perfect example of like this guy can act. He's an actor. He's trying to get out on his own, and I he can do a film. A guy, Josh, is also another guy who came to me and had an idea, and I was like, fuck it, I'll put it on my channel. You don't have a channel, we'll put it on my channel. Like you can film most of this. I'll fit every other piece that's in there. I'll do the editing, I'll get the CGI, I'll tweak the scripts. Like I give me the idea that you want. You can film most of it. Like I what are your limitations? And I'll help you get the rest of the way. And that's a series that's going to be Starship Manchester. It was a film that was called Ghost of the Past. But those two people are exactly why I do fan films, which is to show everybody you guys can do this. Of course you can look at it and say, well, there's a bookcase in the background, or oh, that's plasterboard in the background. But it's like, to me, it's about the story. To you, it's about the story. We don't, when you and I watch a film, we don't see the imperfections. We see, oh, these are the characters. We want to escape in the world. We don't care about those flaws. And of course, there's going to be those jackholes that are going to be like, oh, look at the bookcase. But to us, we see, no. We want to get lost in the characters, and we see the story. And they are the perfect example of what fan films are about. It's not about the production value. It's not about the thousands and thousands of dollars and the $30,000 you put into it, and the professional uniforms and the pips in the proper order. No, you don't got pips. Fuck it. Who cares? You don't got the proper uniform. Fuck it. Who cares if you got white tube socks going on? You got sneakers running around. Like, okay, like whatever. Like, just tell a good story. And these Sean and Josh, or Joseph, not Josh, Joseph. Those two, they're the perfect example of, I want to do it, but I don't quite know. Can we get there? Yes. What do you need? And they're the perfect next generation, no pun intended, of filmmakers. We just need that little extra push, And I tell you, man, I love the guidelines, because the guidelines are, I think, the best thing that happened to us, because I don't think we'd be around if we were still telling the hundred and some odd thousand, 200 some odd $1,000 Star Trek stuff with professional actors. Like,
Yeah.
It's just people. It's just fucking people.
Yeah.
Anybody can do these.
And that's one thing that's amazing about your films, because you bring so many people together. And I think Star Trek's about inclusion, and you include anybody and everybody. And that's just a great thing. That's so great. I admire you for that.
Well, it's, again, that's why I respect you, because it's an extension of you. Your empathy, your compassion, your love for other people. It's, if you had not said yes, it wouldn't have happened. So again, that's why, again, that's why I consider you family, and I mean that.
Thank you.
But that's why this painting, I think, to me, when I had wanted to approach, and it never happened when we did wave one of the paintings, but when I talked with Richard about doing wave two, I really wanted you in wave two because I was like, this has got to happen. This is going to be cool. And I picked the picture of you in the only one that has this uniform because you got this specifically made for yourself. And I found the proper pose because I was like, oh, dude looks like a badass in this. So here's the painting, and you'll know where it's from. So here it is.
Yeah, I remember that one. I like it.
So that is you. What are your thoughts seeing you in the painting for the first time?
Well, it looks like he's been through a lot in his life. It looks like he's wizened from the things that have happened to him. And it looks like he finally found the confidence that he needed to continue on after Legacy. Legacy, he was a mess, but in this one, he finally looks like he's where he needs to be. I like it.
Good.
Really do.
Now you will be getting these paintings once it takes I think it's 3 months like for them to actually kind of cure and paint to settle and everything. These paintings will come to you. I'll need your address at a future point, but the actual real painting will come to you in the mail.
Wow.
So this is something. Now, of course, I'll be printing it out and putting it up on my wall because I have a wall of heroes. But you will be getting the actual painting itself.
It's really nice. Thank you.
But here's a speedrun video. Now, to anybody, you will not be able to hear Michael or me. But this is a speedrun video of the painting actually being made and the artist's thoughts while he was doing the painting. It'll be about maybe 2 minutes long. So enjoy this, and then it'll get back to me and Michael. So 1 second.
Welcome to my channel. This is an alla prima portrait of Michael L. King as Captain Jack Bishop of the USS Starship Valiant. Michael is a filmmaker and a writer and also an actor. And he has a YouTube channel. I'll put a link to it in the description where you can see his films. You can also see podcasts and behind the scenes footage. And it's a lot of fun, so I encourage you to check that out. This, I believe, is a still from a film. I did not speak to Michael beforehand, so I don't quite know what was going on here. This was all arranged for me by my friend Vance, so thank you, Vance, for all the help you've been giving me. I am interpreting this pose, which is such a great pose. It's a 3/4 pose, and Michael is looking away. He's not looking straight ahead. And there's a kind of quiet intensity about this pose that I really wanted to capture. So my drawing method is the same one I've been using. It's really useful for live models, but also equally useful when working from a photograph. This photograph is life-size, so that it's very similar to working with a live model. You see me putting in just a little bit of background here. It's just an abstract set of colors that resemble the photograph. I'm not too worried about getting that too close. What you don't see here is I am actually taking some time and mixing value strings. So the value strings for the shadow side of the face go from darkest to light on the shadow side. Then I have the same for the lit side of the face. And as you see me filling in, going from dark to light, I always start with the points on the face that I'm most confident in. They're really good anchors for keying the rest of the painting around. As I'm painting here, you'll also see that there are some highlights on the shadow side of the face. And when I'm working quickly like this especially, it's probably always true, but certainly when I'm working quickly in alla prima, it's important to maintain the value structure throughout. And the highlights on the shadow side of the face, even the lightest highlights, are actually darker than the darkest points on the lit side of the face. So the lit side, anything in direct sunlight, even the darkest spots are actually lighter than the highlights on the shadow side. And that's really important to keep that structure intact to create this sort of three-dimensional illusion that I'm going for here. And I really did want to not just capture Michael, but capture Captain Jack Bishop. There's an expression going on here that I really wanted to try and incorporate into the likeness. I would not consider it a successful likeness if I didn't capture some aspect of the emotional quality of this pose, and that was really what I was trying to do here. The uniform, if you'll notice, is a little bit unique. I haven't seen this uniform before. It has an emblem, and that is not the kind of emblem you would see, for example, in Star Trek The Next Generation, which is a sort of standard Starfleet emblem, which came from the Starship Enterprise from the original series. I believe this is an original series era uniform where that emblem is ship specific. It was a little bit tricky to draw and a little bit tricky to paint. I did not quite get the colors nailed on the uniform, but I think that's okay. You'll notice that the yellow in the photograph is more muted than the yellow I painted with. My yellow is a little too intense, but I think I did capture enough of that likeness to represent what the uniform was and capture an overall likeness of Jack Bishop in this moment. And this is the final stage where I'm just filling in that emblem here, which was a little bit tricky, but I think I got it. This is the final painting. I think it's a reasonable likeness, and I hope Michael likes it. I have a website, which is robertosuzuki.art, where I have paintings for sale, and you can contact me about a commission if you're interested in that. I also have an Instagram page, which is at Instagram, Roberto_Suzuki_art, and I'm on Facebook at fb.com/RobertoSuzukiArt. Thank you.
So yeah, so that was hold on just 1 second.
That was great.
So Frank wants to come on. Give me 1 second. Yeah, I didn't know. Hey Frank, how are we doing, man?
Not too bad. Am I intruding? I just wanted to say hi to Michael.
Hey Frank, how are you?
Doing good, bro. How you doing?
Doing great, doing great. I'm just like totally in awe of the great set building you've done. It's like amazing.
Oh, thank you very much. But we're here for you. Don't worry about my sets.
Yeah, but I had to tell you, those sets are great.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
So what were your thoughts on the painting? On seeing it go from blank canvas all the way to full painting. What were your thoughts on seeing that made?
I wish I could do that, but other than that, it was great. It was a great process, a really great put together video that he did, and he's a really great artist. You know, I remember you said that you have a wall with all these paintings on, and I was just kind of thinking I would like to have that. That'd be pretty great to have a wall of fan film characters. That sounds really cool.
Yeah,
but I'm impressed. I think he did a great job.
Show you that's the it's right up there with everybody so far. I haven't got you up there because that one's brand new, but are you able to see? Yeah, that's everybody. Yeah,
they look great. Frank's looks the best though, but
yeah. Someone's kissing butt there, Frank. He's earning his. But that's the thing that I love about Richard is he like who gets painted as like I've said before, William Shatner of course gets painted, Patrick Stewart gets painted, but for us, like nobody's gonna paint someone like me, nobody's ever gonna paint someone like Frank, But
so I got a question. How did that start? How did you reach out to this guy, and was this your idea?
No. He actually he reached out to me. He was supposed to paint. He reached out originally to George Kyan, but George, being so busy, I don't think he got back to him. So he reached out to me and asked if I would mind being painted because for his schooling he needed to paint a passion project. And he said, one of the things that helped him get through COVID was fan films and my fan films. And he was like, I'd like to paint you if that's okay. And he'd made mention that he had reached out to George and he said, I kind of want to paint some of these fan film captains, but I really don't know how to do it. And I was like, fuck it. You want me to reach out to these people? I know all of them. I can fucking do it for you. I can grab the people and fucking pass them to you if you want, or the, I don't think it was quite like that, but it was the equivalent of, I'm paraphrasing. And he's like, you don't mind? I'm like, fuck no. I mean, it makes it easier for you, sure. And so that's when he told me, he said, well, you guys would get the original paintings. It takes X amount of time, but here you go. And I was like, well, awesome. When he sent me the painting, I said, I love this. Why don't? And that was around the time where StreamYard started showing you could put pictures on StreamYards. And I'm very limited on what I know how to do. I don't really know how to do most of it.
Me too.
And then they started showing.
That's the only reason he has me. You know that, Michael.
Yeah, because Frank was doing most of the heavy lifting in the beginning. Now I don't. I get rid of him. But that's when they started showing the pictures, and I was like, well, now I know how to do this. Why don't we do reveals of the paintings, and that would help your channel, your Instagram, and that people. I'm sure my audience would love to see them, And then he said, yeah, I even got I've got a video that I've done of me doing it. And I said, oh man, that'd be great, because I thought they had a video feature on this too. And let me figure out how to upload this, because if so, then we can show that too. And then I thought, well, with the other people you've painted, what if we did reveals for them? And they wouldn't even see the picture until we do the reveal party. Therefore, it's something that they'll be engaged in. They can bring their audience over. It's good for my channel. It's good for their channel. It's fun just in general. And again, who gets painted? I mean, this is an event for us, and it's just something fun to do. Because again, who does that for us? And it's just
Great
kind of
idea.
It's a reason to get together, and especially with the whole COVID thing, it's like a barbecue, and let's get together and talk, so he loved it. So we got through all the captains, because I think we had 6 captains from the first one. And then with this one, he made mention. He was like, I wish we could have got some women on the first, on these 6. I wish we could have got some of the women captain in fan films. And I was like, in my mind, I'm thinking, well, we got Crystal.
Yep.
Well,
As
we got
2 captains.
We got Yava. Huh. You know what? Maybe we should do a wave 2. So then that got me thinking, we could get Bishop. We could get, we still got some captains out there. You know what? Let me.
And let's forget we got an Admiral, Shirley.
We do. I bet she'd love that.
Oh yeah, she would.
So that's how that came to be. It's because he wanted to paint his, the passions that kind of helped him get through COVID. And he's such a generous person, seeing the fan films. And I mean, I think it's something I know my audience has just loved seeing his work, because he's such a talented guy. Oh my God! Look out, Richard! It's you got your days are numbered now. Frank's on your tail.
Yeah. We need a reveal party for that.
I look like Jack the Pumpkin.
You forgot the cord.
Right, the cord in the door. That's what I need. But that's how it came to be. He's got an idea for. I brought up an idea for me and Royce, because I thought that would be kind of nice to have a father-son picture painted. And he was game for it. I've still got to do the sitting down with me and Royce, but he's just like you. He's got a generosity of spirit and willing to use his talents, and for me, it's one of those things where it's like, hey, you keep painting, I'll keep making videos. And, to me, it's just win-win, just keep doing it.
That was really nice of him. As you said, really generous, it's kind of nice too, to think of during the worst part of COVID, that someone's actually watching your films and, helping them to get through this. That's one of the biggest compliments you can have. So that's really nice.
Well, and that's I've already I've recorded the footage already, but in my mind, I'm sitting there thinking, we've got these paintings. Why not use this for a hallway of heroes type deal where, Menard walks down? And I had Mona, I was like, hey, record that. I never really have her record anything, but I was like, the idea struck me. I was like, I've got these. Let's have it go down, have him go down the hallway and just kind of stop and in typical Menard fashion, stop and think for a minute. I can put the voiceover in later, but why not showcase this guy's work in a film? because it's just like when people send you a prop for something, you know, you put it in a film, you know, or at least I do, you know, like show gratitude to people that kind of hook you up, you know. And this guy's work, he's so fucking skilled, you know.
That's actually a really good idea. I can see the title now, Hall of Heroes. That sounds
Yeah.
really neat.
Yeah,
That sounds...
it's to me, it's, you know, the fact, again, like I said, you know, who would paint us? You know, it's, I never would have thought we'd get painted. You know, it's just, I'm very humbled by that.
It's really humbling to know that, you know,
Yeah.
we make films just basically for fun, you know, and if they can just move one person or inspire one person, then, you know, that's the biggest compliment you can get.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But, well, I hear Royce in the other room. I think I'm going to have to go here soon. But Michael, is there anything else that you have to say about the painting or your films or just anything in general while we have you on?
Well,
anything about Ties That Bind?
The painting, just I don't know if the artist is here now, but
let me see in the comments. I'm anyone in the comments. I'm sorry if I've neglected you. I've been so engaged with Michael. Forgive me. I don't see Richard in the comments.
Richard's in there. Yeah, I think so, isn't he?
Oh yeah, I do see it. Yeah. I'm scrolling through now. Richard, did you want to come up? And if Richard, if you're here, if you want to come up for a few minutes, I can send you the link if you want to come in. And anybody, if anybody wants to contact Richard for his paintings or whatnot, contact him at rgr@robertsuzuki.art, because I know, and he does have an Instagram, and I'll be putting his Instagram in the description about 5 minutes after the show. So if you're watching live, give me about 5 minutes after the show, and I'll be putting his Instagram in the description. If you're watching on the rewind, just click on the description and it'll be there. Because I always try to do that after the show, just so you guys can go click on that. Oh, Richard says he doesn't have a computer. Oh, he's on his phone. Okay, I understand, Richard.
Well, Richard, I just want to say thank you so much. I'm really honored and I'm really humbled by the painting. It's really beautiful. First time I've ever been painted, and it's really great. It really is. Thank you for taking the time to do that. Now on to the as far as Ties That Bind is concerned, it's still in the writing stage. I've actually got 2 scripts before that have actually been completed, and I'm really happy with these scripts. I think they would really make great films, and it's just a matter of money and timing, but hopefully they'll get made.
Michael,
yes, sir.
Let me extend this invitation to you. Anytime you need our bridge for anything and you can get down, you are more than welcome to use it.
Thank you so much, Frank. You're a gentleman. I appreciate that.
Don't tell Vance I'm not a gentleman.
You watch it, Frank.
How's your wife doing?
She was on a little while ago saying hi in there. She right now is, I think, working on bathrooms in the house. But she's doing quite. As a matter of fact, I was thinking of replacing her.
Well, I guess it would keep you warm at night.
But no, she's doing fantastic, and as I always try to do, throw this out that very quickly on the bridge. I couldn't have done it without her. She was there pitching in all the time. But I wanted you to know that you have that opportunity anytime, my friend.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that. That means a lot.
Well, and that's the thing that I love about this excuse me, about this community is, you know, like Donna helping out with the bridge, you know, Frank making the bridge basically from nothing. You know, we go from, you know, kind of the rags to riches mentality. You know, we go from, you know, little to nothing, and we show everybody, you know, hey, we can work together and make some pretty good stories. You know, Michael, you know, you talk about me including everybody, but you've kind of done the same thing. You've never turned down anybody, you know, from working with you. And every time I've had a story idea for, hey, Michael, can you do this? You've always been like, yeah, I'll get this as soon as I can. You know, you've always been a positive force inside fan film. You've never been negative.
Thank you.
You know, we've all, you know, I think honestly, like you've kind of got, you know, you've kind of got three positive people here in fan films. You know, I think that's what
life's too short, man. It's got to be fun.
If
You
you're
know,
not doing it for fun, then what are you doing it for?
you know, my grandfather used to say that if we all live to be 100 years old, that's still not enough time, and time is short, man.
Yeah.
Time is short. Spend it being happy as much as you can.
Well, yeah, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, you know, you know, Facebook is nice to take pictures and remember a moment or whatnot, but it's like so many times you know, people spend fighting online fights that don't matter because nobody's going to sit there on their deathbed and go, man, if I only could have won that fucking argument. Nobody gives a shit, you know.
Yeah, of course I'd never seen or know the person, but you know, I wanted to win. I mean,
right. I mean, at the end of the day, you know, take a picture, post it, go on about your day. If someone's fighting, who gives a shit? You know, fucking block them and move on. You know, at the end of the day, like I'm gonna remember, you know, on my deathbed, I'm gonna remember my son. You know, I'm gonna remember my wife. I'm gonna be thinking about the happy moments, my kids' first steps, and when we were playing baseball in the fucking yard. You know, um, you know, when I proposed to my wife. You know, the happy moments of my, you know, the first time I walked on the bridge. You know, is a happy moment. You know, the positive things that I did. You know, fucking Frank's wig that he likes to wear and scare the hell out of me. You calm down, Frank.
For Michael, I am being tamed today.
You certainly are, man. But, you know, it's
unlike you, I respect Michael.
but you know, it's those things where, you know, we need to pick our battles. You know, family is first. You know, regardless whether it's blood or it's the family we choose. You know, something I've been telling Royce a lot now that he's actually retaining things that I tell him, is remember the good. You know, and I've said that a lot lately because I want that to be like his life, you know, mantra. Remember the good, you know, because it's like there's going to be a lot of negative shit out there, you know, and I can't have him focus on that because I've focused on that for far too long, you know. But I think that a lot of people need to change their focus because there's no way we're going to get ourselves out of this, you know, toxicity if we don't remember the good, you know. But, you know, coming from that, you know, comes Frank's Bridge, comes your films, comes, you know, Richard's paintings, you know, the positivity of having close friendships, of when you don't go months talking and then, hey, it's an old friend and here we are, you know. There's you know, you may not be blood, Michael, but you are family, and you may not be blood, Frank, but you're family. You know, that's the way I feel, you know.
And I feel the same way about you guys in the community. I don't know Michael personally from being there on set, but I know Michael and Michael's spirit and Michael as a friend. And yeah, consider Michael part of my family.
It feels kind of weird because it feels like I do know you, Frank.
Well,
I mean, more than I should from just us, you know, chatting online. But it really feels like I've actually I know you. I don't know. It's just crazy, I guess. But
well, I think in the fan film world, you know, like I don't know Nick Cook personally, but I think, like, I feel like I do. You know, we've chatted a few times. You know, sometimes it's been extended amount of times we've talked. but like he's one of those people where it's like I instantly feel calm when I talk to him. Like I feel like we have, and I think it's one of those things where it's like because it's like that name recognition, because we are so familiar with each other. It's kind of like, I think it's the equivalent of like when like say Will Wheaton talks to like Jerry Ryan, even though they had never met, they were like, it's like we know each other. I feel like that's the equivalent, where it's like you may not know each other, but you have that passing, and then you're like, oh, we instantly bond. We know each other. And I feel like that's the equivalent of like, you
Yeah,
have that passing, and you've played characters who've met before, and like people in fan films where they may not have actually spoke on screen, or I mean, they may not have spoken in person, but they spoke on screen, and they have that familiarity, and but yeah, it's
I think
I don't know.
I think it's the way we are is all our ideals and dreams fit together like this. I think that's the thing. We know each other because in a way we are each other, because we
Yeah.
see things the same way. We have the same passions, the same thoughts, and we communicate because Michael could say something and then I could probably answer, you could start that sentence and I could end it for him. Or you could start a sentence and I can end it. It's just because our minds are synced and our minds are together.
Well, like for me, I know like for Menard, like there's, a lot of that is, a lot of me is that character. Same thing for Bishop. A lot of that is Michael. For
Grissom is the same.
Yeah, and so like in a sense, we do know, that's him. But anyway, that being said, I'm going down rabbit trails. Forgive me. I love both of you guys. I'm very glad that you enjoyed the painting.
It was great.
It was one of the best ones. I mean, they're all great, but I think he's captured you the best so far from what I've seen.
Yeah, I really love it. It's really great. I can't wait to show it off.
Yeah. Well, I'll send you a copy. Like I said, you'll be getting one in the mail after it settles or cures or whatever it's the process called. I don't pretend to even know the whole process, but I will send you a copy in Facebook. He sent me a copy of it in Facebook, so I will send you a copy, and you're free to share it online. I'll be doing the same, and I'll tag you in it, but you're free to share it, post it wherever you want. So know that will be coming. That being said, like I said, everybody give me about 5 minutes and I will put Richard's Instagram in the description. Follow him, please go support, because following people, who don't do this for money, is the only way that they a lot of times continue going when they feel discouraged or it's a bum day. They may see a positive comment. They're like, man, you know what? I'm gonna keep going. Also, I've got Michael's description or his link in the description. Go follow him. Go subscribe to his channel, or watch a film, leave a comment or a like on a video. Support Michael. Ignore Frank completely, because Frank doesn't need any positive.
I have the forgotten red shirt.
Yes. So that being said, everybody, I want to say thank you for joining us in the chat. Richard says it needs to dry / cure, then it needs varnish, and then you can send it. There you go. That's what it's called. Dry and cure.
Right.
Okay, then varnish. All right.
Thank you, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you. I'm looking forward to mine too, without a doubt.
And Richard says Michael's channel is great, by the way. Okay, so he has good. So he has gone since then. Good.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
So that being said, everyone in the chat, thank you for joining us. Michael, I want to say thank you for joining us. Frank, always a pleasure to see you, my friend. I love you, brother.
Love you,
so that being said, everyone,
thank you, guys.
Absolutely, everyone, be genuine, be safe, and keep on geeking on, guys.